is actually to help you all really embrace and see how easy it is to do STEM in early childhood. And the other thing that we're going to talk about is really giving children agency over their STEM activities. And what I mean by that is allowing young children to be able to do STEM in a way that allows them the control. You know, the stage of development that a young child is at, autonomy versus shame and doubt, industry versus inferiority, et cetera, et cetera. Children want nothing more than to be able to do it themselves. Me do it, me do it. And so what we're going to talk about today is these discovery trays or discovery tables, in particular, which is going to integrate science, technology, engineering, and math all together. But really, as you'll see while we'll go through it, you are going to see children engaging in materials almost entirely on their own that teachers have set up. One of the things that I'm also going to keep honing in on is that it's really important that we encourage our girls to go to these tables because women are very underrepresented in STEM. Now, I want you to also think for a moment about the jobs that exist today. I mean, look at what Benny does, right? I'm on Zoom. 20 years ago, these jobs did not exist. And so what's going to happen in 20 years from now when these young children enter the workforce is that you are going to see a much different world with different kinds of jobs. And so we've got to really foster the child's natural curiosity, watching how they learn, how they predict, how they try to solve problems and use that scientific process to explore the world around them. By the way, the United States is really lagging behind in many ways because we don't give enough math and science in early childhood, which creates the foundation for these young children. So we start early in order for them to enjoy this. If you think about it, every child is born a young scientist, right? And then we kind of get it out of them in a way that is not altogether really wonderful, because instead of maintaining the idea that a child is a mathematician and a scientist and an explorer, we teach them simply how to solve math, or we teach them how to look at an experiment and then regurgitate back the ideas to us rather than allowing them to go with that. So here is a visual of the scientific method. It's an infant, right? They're making an observation, they're forming a hypothesis. It might be food, because at that age, everything is food. So I put it in my mouth. They perform that experiment. They analyze the data. That is not good. I don't like it. And they might even try it a couple more times until they finally realize that it's not good for them. Then they might give it to their twin sibling in order to reproduce the results and see if the other person gets the same results that they do. So this is really the scientific process. I'm going to stop sharing now. And yes, people are asking about copies of the slides. We are going to be putting this all into the STEM course that we're putting together. It's proprietary information that now belongs to Playground. So I'm actually not allowed to share it, but I am going to share another PowerPoint with you. And again, this one will be in that course as well. Let me just go to share screen. And we're going to play this. Oh, sorry, I just have to get this going. I am not great at, okay, there we go. So discovery trays. What is a discovery tray, first of all? So look at this one that's centered right here. If you can't read what it says, where do seeds come from? And it's a low table on the floor that children can all come up to, even as young as, I would say almost 2 years old, because there's nothing unsafe here. And what we've got is bell peppers, oranges, squash, tomatoes, and apples. And these are all things that have different kinds of seeds. There's little spoons. The kids can play with the spoons and this. And this is an excellent way for children to just start discovering the world around them. And especially when it comes to food, you are much more likely to get children to come over and try and see what you're doing. But what you really want to do with this discovery tray or table is you want to foster that sense of, exploration, curiosity, all of those interests that and characteristics, protocols, if you will, that really enable a child to be adventurous. And that's really what a scientist or an explorer does, right? They're adventurous. They try things that are unknown. So you might want to put a food here that maybe the children have never tried And because everything else around it seems to be safe, the child will be more than likely to try the food that might be new to them as well. And the other thing that you should notice here is that it doesn't need constant adult supervision. That's the beauty here. So how to set it up? You want to have low tables. You want children to be able to access it. And you also want, especially for children that are not great walkers yet, so 1.5, almost 2 maybe, you want to have tables that are low enough that they might even be able to just sit at. And you want things that are somewhat connected. So if you have rocks and then you have tomatoes, that doesn't work. It has to be something that puts kind of pieces of a puzzle together for young children. And the display should be put in a way that invites you. You know how when you go to a museum and everything is on the walls and it's just beautifully appointed, it invites you to sit and stare and look and examine for a while. You want these materials to have the same kind of setup. Not only that, but you want the setup to be such that there's nothing really interfering sensorially with the tray that you're setting up. So if you've got those carpets in your classroom that are very wild, it's got lots of, trains and boats and planes and letters and numbers all over it, you're not going to want to put a discovery tray right on top of that. You might want to bring in a white tablecloth or a white sheet or something else in order to create a border and a working area around it. Children might want to take the toys or the materials out of the tray and put them around the tray on the floor around them. So having that kind of setup that really supports intentional and longer attention spans is ideal here. Especially for infants and toddlers, you can buy these kinds of tubes really inexpensively from a wholesaler, not on Amazon. I love Amazon. I don't want to knock anybody down, but if you buy these wholesale, you can buy lots of them really inexpensively. And I'm going to give you my contact information afterwards. I'm always happy to help you find materials. But if you simply fill these up with different plants or different colored rocks, or even different colored water, a really easy thing to fill these up with, but you're going to want to hot glue them closed, is you put in baby oil, and then in another container, take water and mix with maybe a drop or two of blue food coloring, another one with red, another one with green, etc. Pour that colored water into the baby oil, about half and half, but leave air. And as you move the tubes around, you've made your own discovery tubes for water. As they roll, you can shake them, it'll make tiny little bubbles, and then it'll all separate again, and the kids can watch it separating. As they start to explore with these, you can also make them filled with sparkly things or sea animals, especially in the blue water. But the activity tray really is a space to focus. So if you look at these tubes, even though those are many of them, it's still something to focus on. Another really easy one. And by the way, you're going to notice today, I am going to have you spending almost no money, right? Spend all your money on your teacher salaries. You don't have to spend a lot of money on making a very high quality STEM program. So these are clear ice, and you can do that in paper cups, or if you finish, whoa, somebody's car alarm is going off. I'm so sorry. You can also, oh, that's unfortunate. You can also put it in used milk containers or orange juice containers. Make sure though that you rinse them out of the other ingredient first. Plastic bowls that are easy to kind of squish and pop out the ice. And then what these kids are doing is they've got colored liquid watercolor. And oh, it's pouring here in Los Angeles. Everybody's going crazy outside. We don't know what rain is in Los Angeles. They have liquid watercolor and they're pouring it on top. You can also give them warm water with pipettes. Now, the reason I love those pipettes or droppers is because young children have to learn different grips. So if you can see me, this is the time to look for a moment. You don't have to turn your screen on, but look, so you need to have the pincer grip, right? When you're grabbing your Cheerios. You need to have the tripod grip, right? Which is how you are going to learn eventually to hold your pencil or your scissors. And then you need to learn the flip grip, which is how you open up your Tupperware, rip toilet paper or masking tape off. And so these pipettes are great for the tripod grip. Another great thing to do is if you've got any of these kinds of ramps and balls. By the way, this whole set that you see here is from a company called Kodo Kids, Kodo Kids. Now, I'll tell you honestly, their stuff is not so cheap. However, I bought a set in the child care center that I work at about 12 years ago, and it still looks like this. So rather than spend money every single week on consumable supplies, if you've got a pile of money, I would strongly suggest you use that money on reusable supplies that are really sturdy, durable, high quality, early childhood tested materials. So this is simply a tray with the balls and the ramps, and the kids can take other materials onto that tray. The beauty of it is, again, it gives children a frame in which to work. Block building. So I put this here. I didn't have a table to put it on because I stole this picture from somewhere else. But most of us really think about block building as being done on the floor. What if instead you turn it upside down and you make block building on the table? The other thing that you can do is actually turn the table upside down, right? And now you've got a really heavy duty, sturdy, flat surface, but with these 4 poles sticking around. And the kids can then take streamers or string or fabric, make a top to that structure, just anything to change it in order to get children re-excited about working with some of these materials. Whoops, sorry. Just checking my time. And then gardening. So gardening is a great activity. You put them into these little trays. Gardening has several different components to it. Number one, you can have from garden to table. So children love to plant food that they can then try and eat. Anything from beans to carrots to broccoli to cauliflower to artichokes. You can plant soup. So one of the classes at my center planted a soup garden. And what they did was they put all different kinds of vegetables. It was just one of pretty much every different kind of vegetable, and beans, potatoes, carrots, celery, everything else. And when it was all ready a few months later, the kids harvested it. And where children would not necessarily always want to try a soup with all these vegetables in it, what was beautiful about this was that all of these children took bites and sips and ended up all eating the soup. Granted, they put lots of bread, croutons in it, but the beauty of this was that every single child actually enjoyed eating it because they had a hand in growing it. It also teaches young children responsibility, and it teaches them that there are some things that don't give you instant gratification. A garden is something that you have to work on day after day and mind it, and your gratification only comes at the end of harvest, right? So teaching children that they have to wait for some things and watching it grow and taking care of it. Art can also be done in these trays. It's an incredible way of making either dioramas where the materials can be taken in and out and make them interactive, or having trays where they have all kinds of materials that come in on different days. So you might want to have tempera paint one day.
That's yours? Yeah, but I'll start.
Oh, sorry. Is that a question?
No, I think they unmuted on accident.
Okay, great. Okay. So you can have tempera paint one day on just a piece of paper or a canvas. And then the next day you can come in and you can add something that's more three-dimensional, like collage materials. The kids can also then, a la Jackson Pollock, drop paint on. And then if you have little materials that are lost from games, so games that have lost their pieces and you no longer have full games, you can put those pieces in here and children can glue them. For those of you that use Eckers or are in programs that use the Early Childhood Environment Rating Scale or the Infant Environment Rating Scale, and your art area has to have several different types of art in order to make that 7-point scale, this kind of a artist loft tray really lends into that very well. And so just a summary of this, I'm going to show you a video in a minute. These trays are an incredible way to have materials if you set it up in a way that gives children agency. and you set it up appropriately, children learn to manipulate and interact with materials that they might not normally interact with. I also want to suggest, and this is going to be maybe a little more interesting for some of you, get one of those $7 cheap wading pools that you can get at like Kmart or Walmart when it starts to become the warmer season. And instead of having a tray where only their hands can go in, especially when it's warmer or even when it's cooler, depending on the materials, you can have a discovery, we call it a discovery ship or a discovery pool, where you might put leaves in the fall and the kids can go into that wading pool with the leaves. In the summer, when it's a little bit warmer, you can put water with other materials. You can also fill it with clay. You can fill it with shaving cream, depending on the age of the children. You can fill it with all kinds of materials and let the children explore with their entire body, especially those children that are very sensory seeking, and getting their whole body in would just make their day. Just be careful of the materials that you use. You want to make sure that it's safe. All right, I'm going to show a video, and then after that, we'll take questions. Benny, let me know if it transfers to the video. I just want to, do you see the video going?
No, we do not.
When the
Yeah,
stakes
okay,
are
so
high
I'm
at
gonna
work,
stop.
your tone matters.
Whoops,
Related
stop it.
tone suggestions can
If you
I'm
on
gonna stop sharing. Yep, stop sharing.
and
And then
just
I'll
share
share it
the,
again. I never know if it follows me or not. Okay, and let me full screen and play.
because when
Sorry,
you write
you
with
gotta
just the
watch a
right
commercial for
confident
a
tone,
second.
to me it looks like it's
challenge to move.
frozen.
There you go. Okay, watch this.
Oh, Tamar, I think it's frozen.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but I will start it again because you've missed some good stuff. That was really strange.
We can't see your screen right now.
Yeah, no, I stopped sharing because I didn't know it was happening. I had to see it. Give me 1 sec. Okay, we're going to try it again. I'm going to keep it small. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. So there's the wading pool. So this one, I just want to stop right here. What this is this is a dinosaur and a fossil exploration. If you notice, this tray is divided into 3. And notice right here, those little tiny wooden hammers. And what the teachers here did was they put dinosaurs into ice blocks. Real easy to do. Just take some containers, fill it with water, put those dinosaurs or little eggs or rocks in. And then the children go on a fossil or dinosaur hunt. Keeps them busy, by the way, for a long time. Okay, this one, amazing for toddlers. For those kids that are 1, 1.5 that are already able to eat pasta. If you notice here, those are the corkscrew pasta. This is spaghetti. And what all you've got to do is put food coloring into the water when you cook the pasta. It makes it edible and completely safe. You can also use, there's really safe food coloring, by the way, not the red dye number, whatever. And if you notice on this tray, there's tweezers for the children to be able to take the pasta by themselves, put it onto the plate, and then eat it. And they can even learn to match the color pasta with the color of the plate. And all it takes is a teacher to do a little work beforehand. This is a car wash. So here it's just a little bit of sudsy water, some sponges, and the car wash. This one is an Easter egg hunt. And so there's tiny little Easter eggs that are being hidden underneath and big Easter eggs and just adorable for the holiday. And so this is what I meant when I said whole body tray. This is a child in it's actual like mud, water, and cars. And this child is getting the sensory experience of a lifetime. This one is a little bit different. So this one has a very clear purpose. So the other ones that you saw were more divergent or open-ended. This one is actually one that a teacher set up in order to see that children could actually follow a pattern or match the colored Lego to the colored square. So there is a purpose here, but again, child agency. A teacher doesn't have to sit here and tell a child what to do. They don't even have to give directions. What you want to see is when the child learns how to follow this on their own without the teacher directing them what to do. And this one, my sisters and I used to do this when we were little. This is the potion making table. This is where they took rose petals and flowers and water and everything else, and they're making potions. Again, this one is more close-ended, but again, child agency. So for children that are old enough, you can either put a piece of paper that just has a number, and they have to put that many Cheerios on the pipe cleaner. If they're older children, some of you said you had kids even up to the age of 7, they can make necklaces and simply have different addition or subtraction or whatever you want to have on here. And they can make these necklaces. Again, there is no explanation necessary for the children. This is bubble blowing. And this one's really cute. This is a seashide, like going to the seashore. They've got little Barbies laying out on xylophone pieces. This is a construction site. Volcano. More dinosaurs. Here's a STEM challenge. Can you build a bridge with the materials provided? And that last one is called a mandala, which is very much centered in part of South American tribes and such like that. So I'm going to stop. I stopped sharing. And then questions, any questions? We promise to keep you here only for about a half an hour. I know your time is precious. Hopefully you got a lot out of those, but any questions from anybody? Easy to implement, correct? All you need is a tray or a table or a spot.
Vivian has a question.
Sure.
And Vivian, you can unmute yourself if you'd like.
There we go. Okay, thank you so much. My question, Tamar, is I struggle. So I'm head of operations for 8 private preschools, and I struggle to find an appropriate STEM curriculum that kind of guides teachers and gives them the ideas, because oftentimes you tell them, you give them a couple ideas, but then, then they're stuck. Anything that that's out there that helps teachers kind of come up with these ideas or schedule their school year and make sure that they have these activities weekly, monthly?
So here's the thing. Playground and I are actually putting together, I've already actually made almost all of the videos. I've even got, it's about a 50-page course reader that I've put together for this. And what you're really looking for, Vivian, and I appreciate the question, because up until maybe 5-10 years ago, even now, people are really looking for an actual set of activities to give children every single day. And part of the reason for that is because we just don't expect our teachers in early childhood to have bachelor's or master's degrees and make this easy. However, in early childhood, what this course is going to actually do is change that mindset a little bit, so that what you have is you have the materials, and we're going to have a whole list of materials recycled, found around the house, organized, some things that you can purchase, but a whole list of materials in setting up your STEM area. Because the concept of STEM in early childhood, while we've heard that word for a long time, we are still having teachers who teach children who said, I was bad at math, I was bad at science, I don't know how to do technology, I don't know what the word algorithm means. I will also tell you that if you've got that many schools, are they all in a general same area? Vivian, sorry. I think she's still muted. Okay. Well, assuming it's all in the same area, I am more than happy. I go out to school districts. We just did a school district in California. I just came back from Florida. I went to Atlanta. Oh, she can't unmute. Okay, how do we unmute her? How do you unmute? Benny, you got to unmute Vivian.
All right. I got, it was like, I wanted so badly for you to hear me, but you couldn't.
But I'm happy to come out and help you jumpstart this. And for anybody that then wants support, what I would suggest doing is, what you're trying to do is not give them lesson plans. And I'll tell you why. I can give you a lesson plan and give you the picture of the tray. But if the teacher doesn't have the dispositions and the protocols and the understanding in place of why that tray exists,
right,
her support of those children is going to be non-existent. So what you really want to do is, first and foremost, is you want to educate those teachers that you have in how to change the mindset, so that their mindset is one of understanding some of what I just gave you today.
right.
And so what I do with most of the schools and the larger organizations is I'll usually come out for a weekend, like I just did in Atlanta. I spent 2 days in Atlanta. We had 340 teachers. And then what I do is, you decide every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, we have a Zoom, and I give them an activity, and then they also have to make documentation. And they're responsible for that documentation. So, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing nature explorations. So here's your assignment. How did you do nature exploration where it was a discovery tray? How did you do nature exploration where it was more teacher directed? How did you do nature exploration tied to math, tied to science, etc.? And then they document it. So rather than you looking for a curriculum where somebody's giving it to them and they don't necessarily get it, you're going to give them the foundation, and then they document that they've understood it. And if they didn't, then I'll just help them a little bit more.
Right, that makes sense. And how do we get in touch with you to discuss something like that?
So I'm gonna put my contact information, and Benny put yours also. So my cell phone number, which, believe it or not, I give it to everybody and it never gets used. Here's my cell phone number. And then my email.
And Tamar, I think this would be a great topic to add into the course that we're planning for STEM of, how to empower
That's
teachers.
the section that I added, which is, yes, it's all in there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Sure, but that's the most important thing. Right now I have a degree program at a university. I'm the director of the bachelor, master's, and doctorate. And one of the things that I realized, I'm only 20, but after teaching for 30 years, most of the universities, even when students take all these ECE courses, they're fieldwork classes at the end.
Right.
What happens then is they don't remember anything else. So we have fieldwork built into it. And what that realization is that you have to teach something to teachers. You have to teach something, whatever you teach people, right? Like just if you're learning how to drive, you've got to drive all the time, and somebody's got to be watching you to correct any of the imperfections you have in your driving so you're a safe driver. The
Yeah.
same is with implementing STEM. And I think STEM is the perfect curriculum. If you want to create a curriculum in your program, STEM encompasses everything. It
Sure.
encompasses language and math. It encompasses social, because the way that STEM works, the way we've put it together, is it's done with other children. So you're either involved in parallel play, and there's this big table and everybody's at the table parallel playing, or as they get older, and if I do come out, you'll see this much more in depth, or if you're going NAEYC, I'll be there, CAEYC, I'll be there. We give STEM challenges at the tables. So like you saw with the pipe cleaners and the Cheerios, right?
Yeah.
Older kids, all they need is that STEM challenge. If you think about it, right? If any of you cook, right? Let's say you cook chocolate chip cookies or bread. It's not fun. It's a challenge. And when you're done and that bread tastes delicious, or those cookies are delicious, and people are like, oh my God, this is so good. You don't say to yourself, oh, I had so much fun. What you're really saying to yourself is, wow, I did it. I accomplished something. And that self-esteem, that confidence that comes along with being able to do that, that's what we want for children when they're engaged in STEM. We want them to have that same feeling of, I did something by myself, I accomplished something.
Makes total sense. Thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? Questions? All right, well,
I have a question, Tamar. I'm curious how this applies to different age groups, and just in terms of materials, and what differs for a toddler versus a 5-year-old or 6-year-old. How much more challenging can you make it?
Well, the scientific process should be there all along. So again, for example, with the infants having those clear tubes, you're not going to do finger painting with toddlers or infants, but you can take pudding or yogurt. And, unlike many homes where parents don't want them to get dirty, they're home from work and they're tired, having a really safe place where kids can feel the yogurt, taste it, and put it in their mouth and feel what it feels like. Trying different foods, having an aquarium even, and just watching the fish and what do fish do. And one of the things in the STEM course that I've put together for you, water. I mean, things that are as simple as water. How can you use water to stimulate curiosity with infants? How can you use water to stimulate curiosity with 2-year-olds, with 3-year-olds? And then what can you learn about water with 5, 6, 7-year-olds? Even for those of you that might have after school programs for kids that are reaching, 10, 11, 12. There's 3 states of water. There's, gas, there's solid, there's liquid. And so, I don't want to belabor this too much, but just making sure that the materials are developmentally appropriate and giving children that agency, having a little bit more confidence in the capabilities of children at a certain age, and keeping your eyes on them, making sure that they don't get hurt, that they don't start throwing things around, because you're always going to have that one child who, might have an undiagnosed issue or came to school hungry that day and you don't realize it, or needs a big hug. And so instead of participating, they're throwing the materials around. So you need to be close by. You just don't have to always be interfering in their explorations. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I hope many of you will use this. You have my email address. If any of you happen to make a discovery tray or table that you are especially proud of, what I'd love you to do is send me a photo or a video, put your name and permission to use it. If there's children in it, though, not going to be able to unless I have a media release from those children. But just a picture of what you've been able to accomplish. It gives me satisfaction knowing that I've been able to help somebody do something, and we'll put it into our next slide presentation and you'll be famous.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Dr. Andrews, for that wonderful session.
Yeah, these just really quick little tidbits might help change some of your programs.
Yeah, we'll have another webinar very soon. I'll update you guys on that, and we will be sending some resources out after this is over.
Great. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day. Take care.
Benny,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. Take care. Benny, you want to stay on for a minute?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yep. Let me just stop recording.
Have a great day, everybody.